All right. Well, I think it's time to get started. Welcome to another episode of Cooking with Cutter for another Meatless Monday dinner. I think this is a sauce that's been requested for the recipe a handful of times, and now we're finally bringing it to you. So we're going to make our basil pesto pasta, and tonight we're going to use some raw pistachios in there. We have plenty of basil, and everything else we need to go in, we'll just add into it. But those are the two main ingredients that we're going to play with. And then normally within a vegan pesto, nutritional yeast is the secret ingredient. But tonight we also have a vegan Parmesan cheese by VO Life. So we're going to use that instead of the nutritional yeast. But otherwise we would just use nutritional yeast. So as always, we use gluten-free pasta, and this one is used or manufactured in a gluten-free facility all the way through, so it's really nice and safe. We're just going to add that into the water that's already boiling. Make sure we keep that stirred up. Throughout this, we're going to make the pesto and get some other stuff going at the same time. So the goal is to not let these stick together and also not overcook the pasta. So we have about 10-12 minutes to go. And then since this pan's already slightly preheated, we're going to lightly toast the pistachios. Just going to move those around. And then we are using the food processor tonight. And we are going to add all the basil we can. This is about a pound, if anybody's really guessing or measuring. But you can just add as much basil as you want to taste, and then from there, if it's too strong for you, you can thin it out with more oil or a little bit of water. But pesto is a pretty strong sauce, I would say.
It smells amazing.
Yeah, it's definitely one of everybody's favorite smells. And then when you're toasting the pistachios or whatever nut you're using, do not burn them. And then don't forget salt. We have quite a bit in here, so we're going to be a little extra on the salt. And then if you're wondering how we pluck our basil, we just pluck it off the stems. We're not using any of this part or any of the middle part. It's just the leaf. All right, so that's how that's done. And this will feel pretty full, but once we get it mixing up, it'll all condense down. I have about a half a lemon from meal prep earlier that we're going to use. We're going to squeeze this in here. And then make sure you're always checking your pasta. Don't let it stick to the bottom of the pan. And you always want to juice over your hand so that way you can catch any seeds that pop out of the lemon. We are going to use the whole lemon. And then garlic is our favorite ingredient, so we're going to use plenty of garlic. I would say 2 to 3 is pretty common between the batch. Anything more than that, you might be overdoing it a little on the garlic. But you can always add to a dish. You cannot always take out. So it's okay if you're a little light up front because you'll taste it as you go through. Pop that in, and then now we're going to throw the lid on. We're going to give this a couple pulses first before we add our pistachios. Or do you say pistachio? I don't know. Forgot. We're supposed to add oil. It helps it mix up and move around. Now we've made some room for the pistachios. go ahead and add all of those.
Jen asked if you always use pistachios. She uses pine nuts. Does it make much difference in the flavor?
It will make a difference in the flavor. The nut you can kind of just freely exchange whatever you have around or whatever you feel like trying, truthfully. The pine nut is traditionally what's made with basil pesto, and it's really good that way. Cost-wise, some of the other nuts are a little more effective than pine nuts, but if you want to splurge and use them, they're very tasty, so I highly recommend those two.
And then Sherry asked how much oil you normally use.
You're going to use quite a bit of oil because it's also it's the carrier for the rest of the flavor throughout the dish. And then also when we finish making the pesto, we're going to top it with a little bit of oil in the container also to help seal it. So you're going to use enough oil no matter what till it mixes up either way. If it's too thick and dense, it'll be like a paste, and that's not quite how you want it. So you're going to use quite a bit. Like we've already used, a good portion out of here. So
Like a cup?
more than a cup, yeah, definitely more than a cup. And then again, we're just going to mix it all up. And it's going around pretty well now. So we're going to add in the Parmesan cheese. Then we go ahead and add more oil. And then you can see in the food processor how thick it is. You just want to make sure it's able to get everything off the sides and mix it up freely. You want to take a look in there now. So now's a good time to check your consistency, your mix. Look around, make sure you've got everything in it that you want to. If you want to you can see in here it's pretty thick. So from this point on, we're just going to add in enough oil that it's running and consistent. It's not a clumpy, green fibrous looking mess. But this is really tasty. You could take this and scoop it out if you like it this thick. I'm not a big fan of it that way. I'm going to scoop it out. All right. So there's the pesto. It's nice and creamy. There's plenty of oil in there, and then we're going to top it again with some oil on top. This really helps the top layer from not going brown or spoiling quicker than the rest of the batch. And so now that the pesto's made, we're going to go ahead and make up the rest of our dishes. So we're going to do some toast with pesto, and then, I shouldn't say toast, we have our sourdough bread made by Shanna. And then we have a good mix of vegetables, and then we have some pasta going. And we're going to mix that all up together. So we're going to have a few different options. And the leftovers we're going to make into a little meal prep container so you have lunch ready for tomorrow. All right, the pasta's almost done, so we better move quick. So we're just going to quickly toast the bread, and then we're going to toss the veggies in, and we're going to let those cook. We're just going to pop all the vegetables in. And we're just going to let these cook up real nice. So our pasta is ready by now. And so then I just scoop pesto in until I feel like I have enough pesto in the dish that I like. If you really like the flavor of basil, you can add tons of pesto. If you're not very keen on super strong flavors, definitely take it easy up front because it is very strong and you can go a little overboard pretty quick if you're not careful. So then once you get the pesto back in the pasta and a little over the heat, you can put it back on the burner. The pan itself is pretty hot, And everything from here is just going to cook everything else together. And we have some halved grape tomatoes that we're going to just dump in. And these will break down a little bit with the heat. The juice comes out. And then we'll want to take a little bit of lemon. We're going to squeeze that in also. All right. So our pesto's ready. And that looks delicious. Oh, we lost.
Yep, I'll get into it.
That's better. And then we'll do 2 dishes with avocado tonight. We'll do both a toast, and then one of the new dishes that I've been eating more of is a Buddha bowl with the pesto. And then I've been trying to add in a little extra fat into my diet, so I've been forcing avocados on myself. And I'll eat those in a Buddha bowl. And then we're also going to do just a regular pesto on toast. And we'll throw a little hemp seeds on top. If you really want, you can throw some of those around too.
Do you have any suggestions for a nut-free pesto?
A nut-free. Let me think. We've done this before.
It has been done.
I'd like to call on Damien at this moment to help recall what we did. Gosh. What did we use? But you can always omit the nut anyway. You can throw in extra greens, like arugula will make it a little extra peppery. What do we use? I've seen people use avocados and make a really creamy pesto that way. That's really cool. I'm really drawing a blank on it though.
What I'm finding is just all the regular ingredients, just without the nuts.
Right,
completely.
right.
So maybe try following this with just omitting any nut at all and seeing how that works. I think the texture would definitely be the same. The flavor might be a little bit different, but I do think that it would still be similar.
And really, if you could just do something that is firm like a nut that you can break up small and add it to the mix, it'll add in a little crunch to it.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. And you might think we're burning our vegetables, but they're actually really good. I'm gonna take
Then
this.
ask if you could do roasted chickpeas.
Probably could. It might turn into kind of like a hummus texture though, rather quick if you overdo the chickpea. But that's definitely not a bad option. And then I'll have a little Buddha bowl here. And the best way to eat the bowls are always just mix it all the way up. And then we've got plenty of pasta left. So we'll save that for lunch tomorrow. Oops. All right. And I think that covers everything. So in 25 minutes, we have tonight's dinner, tomorrow's lunch, dinner for a friend, and then dinner for lunch 3 days later. So it's the glory of pesto. You can get a little crazy. But just like everything else we do here, you can just throw some vegetables in a pan, add it to your base, whether it's greens, rice, or even if you want to skip that part completely. But there's always plenty of options. The vegetables are there just for plenty of color. I think pesto is one of the best eye-popping things to use. I guess a couple announcements. Meal prep's still going strong. We just finished that up today again. And then new menu will be going up this week, so we'll get that up ASAP. Might have some new options coming, change the meal prep up a little bit, bring in a little bit more. August is around the corner, so fall's coming up too. We'll be adding in some fun different dishes into the menu. If you had an apple pie last year, stay tuned. Those will be coming up, maybe in a different form. Who knows? That was quite an undertaking. Otherwise, reach out to us if you need anything. If you have any get-togethers, we'd love to provide whatever you want. We can definitely accommodate. So, other than that, everybody go to YouTube and subscribe to our channel. And please, let's help grow this. And if you have anybody looking to cook, send them our way. So, good luck, and we'll see you around.
Stay safe, everybody.
Thank you.